Good evening, adventurers. This is Adventure checking in. As you can see from the setting sun off to the right, headed out at the evening, and my plan today is I'm going to be heading out to Bald Eagle State Park out in Pennsylvania. It's about 3.5 hours super slabbing from Baltimore. Tonight I'm gonna roll in, and it looks like I'm gonna be getting there about quarter to 10. So I'll be setting up the tent in the dark. Tomorrow I plan to check out their dual sport trails, and then I'm hoping after that camp out one more night, and then on the way home I'm going to try and do the southern half of the Trans-Pennsylvania Trail vertical, and then when I get back over the Maryland line, I will take probably 140 the rest of the way home. But I wanted to get the camera on the way out. Generally I don't think a trip down the interstate is too interesting. I'm not on the interstate now, it's on Pennsylvania State Route 22. But this road is sporadically being gorgeous. There's a river off to my left, I don't think you can see it right now. But just riding around in this valley in the sun setting, it's pretty lovely. I'm guessing that this trip's going to be a little bit of a cluster. I didn't plan it out all that much. Yesterday I was going to be heading up to New York, and I was going to meet up a friend there, and we were going to head into the Catskills today, and then ride around the Catskills all weekend. Unfortunately, my friend ended up, getting ambushed by work and was going to have to work through this weekend. That totally sucks. But if you want to have an adventure, you need to come up with a plan, make it sufficiently detailed, and then have no attachment to it, because reality is going to come along and blow your plan up right in your face. So I said, all right, I got a new set of Michelin Anakee Wilds on the bike. I'm going to try and do another video to follow up this trip to kind of talk about what's going on with the Anakees. My first impressions so far are I really like them. I think they're a pretty great tire in terms of the experience using them when they're new on the bike. Right? That's only part of the equation. How do they wear? How do they ride when they've worn some? Both good questions to also concern yourself with, but these feel like really, really good on pavement. Never ridden with TKC 80s, but these are very nearly as good as the stock Anakee 3s that come on this bike. Those Anakee 3s really aren't suitable to playing in the dirt, in my opinion, having played in the dirt with them. The Anakee Wilds have, I'm going to assume, a similar compound and a really, really aggressive knobby tread pattern. I don't know how they do in the dirt yet. That's part of what this trip's going to find out. But on the pavement, they're pretty great. The tires I was replacing was a set of Now K60 Scouts. I got those tires with an expectation that they were going to be long tread wear, low traction compared to other tires. I thought they were fine traction. I didn't think that, I never had any incidents with the bike where I ended up needing to change my shorts due to those tires. They did fine, but you can also tell the difference between an adequate tire and an excellent tire if you've been riding long enough. I think these are an excellent tire. I put them on at about 20,850 miles. Looking at the odometer, I've got just about 150 miles clocked on them. Yesterday, I went out, no, Wednesday, yeah, 2 days ago, I went out after getting them mounted on the bike and scrubbed them in. And during that process, it was very apparent to me that these were a significantly higher traction tire. When I got the K60s on, I did about maybe, I think it was somewhere between 80 and 100 miles on them with, you know, some amount of trepidation. And you should always, I advise you to always put new tires on a bike and then ride it carefully for 100 miles or so, or until you've got a good idea that they're doing better than that. Because some manufacturers, they'll put a mold release agent on the tire, right? You put the structure of the tire in a mold and you inject rubber, molten rubber into the mold, and then you let it cool till it solidifies, and now you got your tire. That's why you got the little hairs on the tire, right? That's where the rubber's injected in. Some manufacturers they'll put basically a film of some compound, you know, a grease or another lubricant between. They'll basically line the mold with that compound, and it makes it easier for them to get the tire out of the mold. The tire comes out of the mold with fewer defects, and a little bit of that mold release agent sticks around on the tire after you get your hands on it until you ride around and you scrubbed it off. So I put maybe 60-ish miles on the K60s. Then I started playing around with them and was still able to break the rear wheel loose from, not from a standing stop, but from, you know, maybe 20-30 miles an hour. This is a bike that, you know, it ain't hard to wheelie it, but you gotta have enough traction for it to actually lift the bike. So this K60 started out slippery, and they got better. They got a lot better. I was able to have fun on them. They're good tires. These, I did maybe 20 miles on them, and I said, okay, let's see if I can break these loose. Not a chance. And I had 1 or 2 occasions for panic stop that also indicated to me that these are just way better traction. Anyway, I'm digressing. I want to focus more on where I'm at. Right, this is a pretty gorgeous day, riding through a valley. I like always like riding near bodies of water. It feels great. So I'll be continuing this video tomorrow after I've unloaded a lot of stuff from the bike and I got a chance to get out into the dirt. And I'm sure I'll be talking about my impressions of the Anakee Wilds once I'm off in the dirt. Alright, here we are. It's early in the morning. It's about 9 a.m. I got off to a lazy start this morning, and that's fine because it gave me an opportunity to get nice and toasty before I got on the bike and I started getting a nice cool breeze. So this is extra refreshing. So let's talk about plans and them blowing up, as I had previously discussed. So I had made reservations to stay at Bald Eagle State Park. And I did this with the intention of riding around Bald Eagle State Forest. As it turns out, Bald Eagle State Forest is about an hour away using local roads if you're observing the posted speed limits everywhere. And I had no clue. I just assumed, okay, well, we got a Bald Eagle State Park, we got a Bald Eagle State Forest. They got to be right on top of each other, right? No, they are not. There is a state park you can use right in Bald Eagle State Forest, which is where I am heading toward and where I am not presently. That state park is called Poe Valley State Park. It's embedded right in the middle of Bald Eagle State Park, State Forest, and you can camp there. You'll be right at the Dual Sport Trail Network for Bald Eagle State Forest if you camp in Poe Valley State Park. But Bald Eagle State Park is a significant difference away. You might say to yourself, well, why would that possibly be? That doesn't make a lick of sense. But really, what doesn't make a lick of sense is just assuming that because the two things have the same name, that they would be right next to each other, right? Why do they have the same name if they're located an hour apart? Oh, and I should mention, like, that estimated hour apart is, it's GPS time. So it is assuming rigorous compliance with posted speed limits. And the difference in time, whatever it ends up being, is to account for a distance of 13 miles as the crow flies. So your progress along the roads between Bald Eagle State Park and Bald Eagle State Forest averages to progressing 13 miles an hour between the two. I'm amused by that. It's a good thing if you think about it. It means you get lots of nice, twisty little scenic country roads to travel on between the two. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So yeah, why is it that Bald Eagle State Forest and Bald Eagle State Park are 13 miles apart? I did a little bit of reading on Wikipedia, and so you gotta, take everything that I say from here on out with a grain of salt, because A, it's Wikipedia, anyone is able to edit it, and so it's a quasi-reliable source of information. You need to check the original sources of info that are referenced on any Wikipedia article. And B, it's an English history of Native American peoples, which means it may not be entirely representative. It could be. We don't know, right? I wasn't there, you weren't there. None of us really know how accurate the history reflects what was going on for the natives. But apparently, Bald Eagle State Park and Bald Eagle State Forest are named after a Native American chief named Wapalane. I'm sure I butchered that, and if you know, a better pronunciation, feel free to go ahead and excoriate me in the comments about my poor pronunciation. But I felt like it would be respectful to make the effort. Wapalane is the Native American word
name for the bald eagle, and he was a Native American chief who was in the vicinity for a limited geographic time, as the history tells it. Apparently, the reason that they're both named Bald Eagle is because there was a trail gonna just keep it calm here with this horse. Horses can behave a little unpredictably. Motorcycles are especially weird conveyances. So I like to try to be a little bit extra respectful. Bald Eagle was a chief. Was in the area for a brief interval of time, according to the English histories. Why name two things after somebody who's in the area for a brief period of time? Well, it appears that there's a trail, a footpath that travels between New York, well, the area we now call New York, and the area we now call North Carolina. And the Iroquois would use this footpath for raiding in, through the Appalachian geographic range, right? And that trail was named after Waapalane. So I intuit, don't know, that trail passes in the vicinity of both Bald Eagle State Park and Bald Eagle State Forest. It's not a complete waste if you learn something. So what did I learn? I learned, A, do not assume that just because they have the same name, the two state outdoor-centric facilities are geographically co-located. And B, a little bit about this historical figure, Waapalane, or Chief Bald Eagle. So, that's fun. And if you were paying attention to all of my rambling, as I got distracted by horses and this beautiful road, then you learned something too. Alright, I'm fresh on gas, and I'm switching on the camera before I even get to the fun bits, because this was actually the route that I took off of 322 last night when I was heading to Bald Eagle State Park. And I know those roads a blast, and it's a hoot, and it's 2 lanes up the hill. And I love mountains. I love mountains because they create constraints on civil engineering such that roads have to go the way that this road goes. And the stream off to my right, I don't know if you caught it right there, but it just, reinforces, oh man, this is so good. But it just reinforces that you gotta wind a road around the land, because the land is so hard and unforgiving and unyielding that the road has to comply to it instead of the land being modified to accommodate the road. And I appreciate the need for direct routes that go from point to point, but I love it when They can't be built. I love it when I get a nice twisty bit of road like that. Alright, we're off in the gravel. This is a nice place to start off. I haven't been off in the dirt for probably 6 months, something like that. The new tires are pretty phenomenal. Like, I'm changing my riding technique, right? You know, counter leaning for dirt instead of leaning into turns. But like, that's just what you do. It's not because your tires suck. These feel like they're handling this gravel road like I'm on pavement. That's what it feels like. No appreciable looseness. They are communicating some of the road imperfections a little bit, but I'm not getting much in the way of like handlebar kick. As you can see, there's still houses along this trail. Road. I guess it's a road. Yeah. People live on it. It's not a trail, it's a road. That's a trail. No, it's Mountain Church Road. No winter maintenance. Well, I guess came here at the right time of the year. Alright, we are now in Bald Eagle State Forest. I just want to, ride around and explore. One thing I have is a rule that motorcycles have to yield to everyone. You have to yield to horses, and that makes sense. The full rule, as I recall it, is you see a horse, you pull over, you shut the engine off, and you take off your helmet. Okay. I understand, how all that keeps a horse from flipping out and protects both that horse and its rider. And you also yield to any trucks or other four-wheel drive vehicles. Any other four-wheel vehicles that you may happen upon on your journey. Which, again, okay, well, I got a lot more room to maneuver in. I can get, look, I can get this machine off the road, like 95, 99% of the time? It makes sense. Practically, I appreciate why. Just don't particularly want it to be that way. I'm guessing this is about the top of the mountain. A nice low, calm ascent. Now I'm going back down. Probably won't be able to tell either way because wide angle can. Whoa, that is a nice view. Motorcycle yield to all other off-road users. Makes sense. There are marked trails what you're allowed to ride a dual sport on, and you gotta stick to the dual sport trails. You can't do there's like hiking, backpacking trails. There might be like horsies only trails. I don't know. You got to keep your bike off them. DCNR provides a map. I got it, on the bike with me. Can't see it right this second. stick to motorcycle roads. Poe Valley State Park. Yeah, so this is the part that I was supposed to. Which way does this go? Old Sand Mountain. Poe Valley Road. Poe Valley Road. Siglerville 322. Alright, I think I'm going like this. Yeah, I'm going like this. I'm getting some serious skew between my location, what the map thinks is the road. Or not. Maybe I'm on a parallel route that's not on the map. Alright, I guess it's just time to forget about GPS and explore. Gravel roads are fun. I'm gonna switch off the old camera and we'll get back on if I can find a trail. Alright, so I just passed this trail and saw it as I was passing. It's a drivable trail by licensed motor vehicles, which this is one of. Alright. This is gnarlier than the gravel road. Still not bad. Totally handleable. Right? But gotta actually handle the bike. Gotta plot a line. Make a plan and follow through on it. And then when something goes tits up on the plan, you adjust. And the left side is definitely seeming like well, it's switching. Bouncy, bouncy. Ooh, saved it. All right. It is greasy back here, fellas. There's definitely been some rain yesterday. I was hitting it on the US 22 and a little bit on I-83. But yeah, there's a mucky muck. I am no longer high above the mucky muck. Bouncy bounce. Alright, alright. Yep. This is really where the hey, motorcycles yield away comes in, right? Like those gravel roads, opposing traffic can pass me there. Here, somebody's got to be the bigger driver and yield. And by bigger, I mean smallest vehicle, most likely. Ooh. All right. Lucy. So in stuff like this, I find that practices from like trying to achieve meditative states are useful, right? You don't want to be definitely need your mind engaged. Don't want to pursue no mind. But mantras are awesome right here, because there's two things that I remember to do when I'm riding the bike and it's pushing at my comfort zone. Mantra 1, breathe. You can probably hear I'm doing plenty of that. And mantra 2 is loose on the bars. I know I'm kind of pathetic compared to, there's probably guys with motocross bikes. Well, no, you're not allowed to ride a motocross bike here, but certainly smaller enduros who can handle this with more aplomb. And hey, riding the big old 1200 beast up in this shit makes it more exciting. It's more of a handful. And my goggles fogging up also makes it more of a handful. Yeah, let's go over here. Whoop. All right, recovered it. So yeah, a little dab action like that brings to mind that, hey buddy, you gotta, alright, I can't see, I gotta stop. I don't know how much you can see. Oh, alright, good, it's not getting in your way. Where was I? Oh yeah. So riding a big old 1200 and this kind of gunk, definitely exciting. Gets the central nervous system engaged. Emphasis on nervous. Huffing and puffing. Maybe you can see. I brought a towel with me, but I left it back at the state park that is not the state forest. Let's go ahead and... Nope. Alright, no. Well, I'm picking and poking. I'm gonna risk the eyeballs so that I can see. So, a little skill exercise paying off there. The goal was get the bike moving and then be up on the pegs as soon as is conceivably possible. Nothing to it, but just practicing doing it. So yeah, now I can see. Let's go back to what we were talking about. So yeah, with that dab and stuff like this, I like to ride with soft bags. I got a pair of Wolfman Rocky Mountains. They're good. There's other good stuff out there too. I hear Moscow Moto makes good kit. It's a little bit pricier than the Wolfman stuff, and you can just strap the Wolfman to a luggage rack if you already got one. And on a GSA, I already got one. No adapter plates required. but that's soft luggage. So, what I had to do was, back end was kicking out on me, so I had to drop my left leg down, dab, get it back under control, and then ride along. Part of success there is don't brake, right? You want as long as the rear wheel is pushing forward, it wants to kind of push the bike back upright. That's why, like, if you fall off a bike but it's in gear and it's not past a critical lean angle, it can just, continue riding itself balanced for a considerable period of time. Long puddle. So yeah, A, don't brake. B, don't have a hard box behind your leg when you're dabbing. I definitely have hard luggage for this bike too. I like to bring that with me when I'm more concerned about the people who are around than I am about the terrain I'll be crossing. And that doesn't mean that the terrain will be easy. It just means, I'm more concerned about who's going to be around and want the lockable luggage. Not that I have even the Wolfman bags on the bike right now. I got a Moscow duffel on. That's it. I just hold some water and some waterproof gloves and camera equipment. Hoping to find maybe a nice peak, get some footage with the drone. I don't think I could use the drone here. Might run into a tree. Woo! The other thing is, when I lost it there, I was crossing the green stuff in the middle. Definitely especially after a rain, that's calculated, do that if you want to change lanes. I would not ride just through. Oh, I kind of wish I had taken a different, yep. All right, we're through. All right. Don't cross willy-nilly. Don't ride in the grass, especially after a rain, because the grass is wet, and wet grass is slippery, and 90% of your control off-road is traction and balance. And if you don't believe it's wet, look at all them puddles. This trail goes. Alright, what we got here? Camp Restore. Camp Keystone, 7C346. So it looks like somebody camps out here. Oh, maybe we got a privy? Yeah. That pipe. That's an easy guess. Alright. And then sometimes you got no option but ride in the grass, because that's all there is. That or leaves. It looks like somebody has not been using this stretch of the trail in a little bit longer than the previous dual track action. But yeah, just, eyes forward. Look for a line. Dodge the gross stuff. And then be ready to compensate when, a log appears or bike slips out from under you. I gotta say, goggles down on the chin bar, definitely helping the visibility. But some of the bugs are getting in my face, and I mean, they were doing that when I had the goggles on too. But the fun part about that was, you know, morning, guys. How's it going?
Good.
So yeah, right away to other users, right? So yeah, bugs are getting in my face when I had the goggles on. Ah, crap, one just bit me. Ah, right next to the eye. I couldn't do anything about him either. Fuck. All right. Ooh. Really bouncy. I mean, the suspension's soaking it up. It's doing it. It's working like a champ. All right. Ooh. Ah. Nope. Nope. Rocky. Ah. All right. Pick your line. Stall it out. Remember, the throttle is your power. Clutch is your speed. Alright, one last stab. Alright, up. That was not the right place to stop. But, hey, who knows? Maybe I would have dumped the bike there. So yeah, goggles on the face. You see the bugs trying to get at your eyes, and they can't. And it's funny. Screw you, bugs. Those are my eyes. You can't have them. And this is exactly what I was kind of concerned about. All these little branches and crap jutting off into the trail. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, fuck. Yeah, this is not good. All right. Well, so I got a big hole in the ground over here. And I'm going to see what I can do about getting this bike up, but definitely going to be walking it through, let's say, the end of at least here. So the first rule, bike club, is don't talk about not dropping the bike until you're off the trail. And the second rule, bike club, is don't talk about not dropping the bike until you're off the trail. Bike's down. Maybe I'll start recording once things calm down.
Recording.
Alright. The audio on this might be a little screwed up because I'm carrying my helmet instead of wearing it because it's just damn hot. Alright, so this is where I came from. And this is where I was going. And here's this big uprooted tree. I wouldn't be surprised if this was from the Derrico, which was about 5 years ago. We had just ridiculous winds in the mid-Atlantic,
They flew over a lot of trees. I would suspect that this was one. So I was riding along. I got to right about, see that divot in the dirt right there was where my front tire was when I went down. The bike went down with it, like the seat right in that pit. So I had absolutely no leverage whatsoever for picking the bike back up with. I've dropped it off-road a ton of times, but this was the first time where I really needed to have something more than just, you know, brawn and good technique. Additionally, I tried seeing if I could get at the handlebar in front and using that as a big lever against the rear tire. That was also no dice because the slug was right here in the way and the bike was leaning literally right up against it. So I had no opportunity to kind of get in that area, let alone turn the handlebars to the point where I could even use the handlebar as a lever. I know that's a BMW recommended way to pick up the bike. It wasn't going to work in this case. So what did I do? So if you look at it, the bike, there's a black pouch on the back of it. I'll get up closer and talk more about it when I'm closer. I took my motorcycle recovery system. It's basically a 5-to-1 winch. It's a whole bunch of climbing rope, about maybe, I don't know how what the diameter of it is, but it's pretty beefy rope. A few pieces of nylon webbing, 2 basically climbing pulleys, and some smaller diameter rope for using as a crucifix. And I tied up the bike to this tree right here. First I tried grabbing the crash bars, and I was able to move the bike, but I couldn't actually get it to go upright because I didn't have enough. My point of force wasn't far enough to actually lever on the tires. So then I detached it and reattached it to between the handlebars, and then I was able to use the pulley system using that tree as my anchor. And if you look at it, it's not the healthiest looking tree, but it was good enough at the base. I don't think I was going to be anywhere close to pulling it over. I got the bike stood up, and then I walked it, I didn't ride it, through here. And if you look at this gap between these two, that's about as wide as my head case. The head covers, so there was barely enough room. If I hadn't gone down there, then I could have really fucked up the bike trying to get it through here. Also, once I was able to navigate between that log and that log, this one was ready to gouge one of my fog lamps. So this whole area is a little treacherous for a big bike. So yeah, this is my aforementioned toolkit. I keep a tool roll with most of the tools I use to work on the bike. If I work on the bike and I don't have a tool in the roll, I'll go and add it to the tool roll so that I have the tools for working on the bike. So it's got the tool roll, tire inflator, and the recovery kit. And that recovery kit was invaluable in this case. So yeah, if you're gonna take a big stupid beastly bike like this off-road by yourself, highly recommend getting yourself the some similar tool. The one I have is the motorcycle recovery system by Best Rest Products. Well worth the price of admission today. I'm gonna get my gear back on, and I'm probably gonna walk it through the rest of this area because there's still a few down limbs and another narrow spot like this, so I'll probably be just dabbing my way through until I'm clear of that.
All right, I am now, well, first, it's day 3. I spent the rest of yesterday in camp, just, you know, relaxing, made some dinner, got my pulley system all reorganized and packed away nice and neat. Got a pretty good night's sleep. Not really surprised there, considering how exhausted I was. Woke up pretty early this morning, I think about like 5:45, packed up the bike, and started super slabbing on the way home. A little bit I felt defeated, right? You know, try to get down that trail, and I failed to do so. But I came out here to, you know, push at my limits, and I succeeded in that regard. Really, you know, okay, I pushed at my limits and I found where I was no longer comfortable riding, and it was over wet mossy rocks with trees down across the trail and pretty treacherous conditions on my own. I reckon if I'd had a friend with me, we might have been able to get through that. And yeah, from the point where, you know, I was recording about how to recover my bike, I didn't make it much further down the trail. And yeah, I spent some time sitting on a log getting drenched in rain in the middle of a thunderstorm with my bike sitting on its side and no clue how I was going to get it turned around. I was near giving up, but I didn't give up. I did not tap out. I did not walk out of the forest and go and get some ranger to come help me. I figured out that I was going to have to turn the bike around on the trail, and that I was going to have to do it by just muscling it around, by swinging the back wheel around. And that meant unloading the bike and leaving a whole bunch of gear sitting on the side of the trail. But you know what? That's what I needed to do, and it worked. I got the bike turned around. I was able to paddle my way out back past to the, just before that treacherous log that I first fell over at. And then I walked back and I grabbed my gear and I hiked it out just past that log, right? So bike on one side, gear on the other. And I tell you what, right as I was preparing to get back on the bike and navigate that last little gnarly obstacle, the rain stopped and the sun came out. I felt pretty magical. And then was able to ride through significantly wetter and muddier and deeper puddles trail on the way out, right? You know, it's the same trail that I rode in on, but it wasn't the same trail. It was the same trail plus a couple inches of precipitation. Man, that was, you know, some gnarly turf too, with the loose dirt and the big puddles and the rolling surface. And the bike handled that great. These tires, they're awesome for that kind of surface. I got right out of that trail, got onto some gravel road, and I was relieved. Then I got to ride along some beautiful winding riverside roads on my way back to camp. Yeah, I was dehydrated, so I couldn't enjoy it as much as I might have otherwise been able to. But it was still pretty magical. In a situation like that, when things get really tough, you can't let your mind start spiraling around negative thoughts, right? Could have started obsessing about, oh, I'll never get the bike out of here. Oh, I'm stuck and there's no way I can get it out. And I would have been wrong, because I did get it out. That habit of having a positive mental attitude, being able to focus on the good things and move past the bad, one of the most important tools I think you can have if you're going to be pushing your limits on a motorcycle or otherwise. And I I set out to try and do the southern half of Trans-Pennsylvania Trail. Well, as my glove suggests, that might not be the best idea right now. I don't think I had any spill that caused that kind of damage, but if I were to have a spill where I wanted to have a protective glove, well, that one's not really doing the trick, and I tell you what, it's not as big a tear, but the other one's got a hole in the index finger too. So I changed my plans, but like I said, on the way out here, you gotta be ready to change your plans. You make your plans and reality comes along and dashes them. The view of the river coming east, even better than when I was going the other way going west. So there's not too much more to talk about. This trip's over. Just got to get back home to Baltimore, and I think I'm going to have a nice hot bath when I get there. Let these muscles relax with a little soak. So until next time, this is Adventure Arm, signing off.